All right. Welcome to what I'm calling the internet safe space. This is uh this is my podcast. I'm just doing a little bit of an introduction here because I just wanted to tell you guys what it's about and then talk about episode 1 briefly. It already runs a little bit over, so I'll try and do this as quick as possible. What it's about, I'm going to shoot the shit with my friends and we're going to just talk about opinions in pop culture. Like we're doing top 10 rap albums. The next one is going to be about like One Piece theories, and then the next one after that is about like top 10 video games of all time. It's just all random stuff like that, just trying to have a good time and, make something out of it. So for this first episode, there's a little bit of a slow start. I'm not even exactly sure, I wasn't sure how to like go about it because I've never podcasted before. I'm just like doing this on a whim. And there's a little bit of a technical difficulty too. So just try and keep that in mind when you're watching it. I think that they're going to improve over time. So yeah, I'm not going to hold this any longer. I know that you guys want to get to the actual thing. So without further ado, welcome to the internet safe space. All right, here we go. First, episode 1. Welcome to the internet safe space, hosted by Anthony DePersio. We've got our first guest. Introduce yourself, Jake.
My name is Jake Lacy. I've been Ant's best friend for over 10 years now. Um, Way over, right? Yeah, it's been a while. Um,
It's been a long time, yeah. Because if you think about, because I met you in elementary school before you left Radcliffe,
yeah,
and that was in
yeah,
like I think you were in my kindergarten class.
and that's hard to even consider because we were. I don't remember it that much. We weren't that close. We became friends more in middle school via PlayStation. Um,
Definitely
but it's
PlayStation.
really, yeah, yeah. I moved to Sydney, Australia at the end of 2018. Um, been back a few times, seeing it. It's always one of the highlights of going back.
Hell yeah.
We'll be back again soon. So yeah, but it's awesome that we're getting to talk about such a relevant topic to our friendship because I feel like music is how we really bonded. I don't want to spoil the topic, but I feel like me introducing you stuff and then of course you making music is like a big part of our bond. So I'm really happy to be here as a first guest talking about something cool.
There's a whole there's a universe where if Jake and I were not friends, that I don't even know if I would have ever listened to, for example, The Life of Pablo by Kanye West. Super popular
Yeah,
album that was shown to me by him. Um,
yeah,
it was the first album that I listened to on my Spotify account because I also used to use Apple Music. Jake is also the reason I switched to Spotify so I could have a Spotify Wrapped. Because at the time,
yeah.
this was like 2016 or 17, so Spotify wasn't even, or not Spotify, Apple Music wasn't even doing their like Wrapped thing yet.
Yeah. I
Um,
vividly remember making you buy songs on Apple iTunes.
that I did
Like you
do.
got to buy that. That's worth buying.
Flexecution. I paid $2.99 for Flexecution by Logic. Great, great choice there.
That's pretty sad in retrospect.
So let me tell them the topic.
Okay.
So the idea of let me actually just say what because you're probably sitting here like what the fuck is this podcast even about? Um, you heard the title, the internet safe space. So the whole point of this is that talking about opinions online is typically a terrible idea that results in a lot of hate. This is supposed to be an outlet for us to talk about opinions on relevant pop culture topics. So that could be music, movies, art, video games,
Video
anything.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, like it could be top 10 actors, anything pop culture related that you could have an opinion on. That's what we're going to talk about here. The idea is to have a new guest every week. Obviously, repeats will happen. This has been something I've been planning for a while. I always wanted Jake to be the first guest. This was hard to put together though because he lives in Australia, like you mentioned. So 14-hour time difference can make that pretty difficult to coordinate. Because right now, what time is it for you?
It's 9:56 a.m. on Tuesday, September 10th.
And it is 7:56 p.m. on Monday here.
Your other guests will be definitely easier to coordinate. So
Literally every other guest I have, every single guest besides you, you're my
yeah,
only international friend. So
it's good to get the hard one out of the way. Yeah.
it is. It is.
Start.
So I don't even think I said the topic yet. top 10 rap
Yeah.
albums post 2000. There's a reason I said post 2000, and that's because I really wanted this to consider a lot of like the trap albums as well, which if you consider pre 2000, it gets clouded by like Biggie, Tupac, um, like Nas, LL Cool J, Jay Z. You know, like they kind of just like the top 10 becomes a lot more mainstream if you go pre 2000 because everybody knows what they're supposed to say. And I feel like if you go post 2000, it gives a lot more room for like Jake and I's list will be completely different.
There'll be some overlap though.
I think
There
there's
will
going to
be.
be my guess is two albums that
Me
are
too. I
I
was
think
thinking about
it's
this
and I
honestly
think I know
too.
which two. Right now
Me
I think I
too.
know
But
which two are I'm not going to say
we
them,
can't say.
but
Yeah.
I think I know which two are going to be the overlap and then after that it's going to. In our honorable mentions, I don't think any of them will be the same. So we're doing 10 albums and then 5 albums honorable mentions. So 15 total. You scored yours with numbers
I
or no?
didn't know.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
used a
you want me
scoring
to? I'm
system.
sorry.
No, no. I remember I sent it to you and I said you didn't have to use it.
Okay. Yeah.
You can just give it an arbitrary number in comparison when you say it. Like you just be like, I don't know.
Okay.
You can be like Astral World 9, just like
Yeah.
on the fly.
Well,
So
to be honest, like all these albums in my top 10, I would give a 10. I mean, for different reasons, obviously, but like I love all these albums a lot. Maybe some would be like more of a 9, but whatever.
I scored
Yeah.
aggressively, so no albums in my
Yeah.
top 10 are a 10. And there's actually
Fair enough.
three threes that are in their eights, but I did like numbers point something. So the scoring system that I used was the amount of tracks I liked. So let's say it was like 20 out of 20 tracks I liked, it gets a 10 in that category. If I like 10 out of 20, then it would get a 5. And then lyrics, artist sound, creativity, beats, my personal enjoyment, the hype versus the output, and let me turn off all those notifications. The height versus the output and longevity and substance. So I gave all of those numbers out of 10 and then averaged them to get my number to try and make it as accurate as possible. So um, I'm also going to be pulling up Spotify here to just pull up the albums while as we name them. So I guess I'll start with my number 10 and I'll share my
Yeah, let's get
screen.
into it.
I should only have one thing I can share, right?
Yeah.
Oh, oh, that's how it does it? I actually fuck with that more. It pops up as like a separate screen for us. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know it was going to do that, so that's great. Um,
This is your 10?
this is my number 10. Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight, Travis Scott.
Mm,
I gave this an 8.6, that being the lowest score in the top 10 list. Um, Let me pull up that screen. So this album, this album was actually this was a last minute. I put this in here as number 10, like 20 minutes before we started.
oh, wow.
I had something else
Yeah.
here, and then I was just like listening to music while I waited for you, and Goosebumps came on, and then I just pulled up the album, and I was like, this 100% has to be in here over the one that was number 10, which is now my honorable mention, so I'm not going to name what it
Okay.
was. But these two
Yeah.
are like super close in my mind.
Uh,
But I mean, like, just to go through a few, way back through the late night, Beeps in the Trap, Sweet Sweet Outside, Goosebumps, Pick Up the Phone, Wonderful. Um, the album as a whole is just like nuts, in my opinion. And I think that Travis he puts out songs that like there's a lot of songs I listen to by Travis that get like lost in translation for me. Like I thought they were good, but then like I don't really like listen to them anymore. Like I'll give like a random example. Like I probably when I'm like driving to work would never just search up Coffee Bean, even though I think it's a really good song,
yeah.
but like I
Mm,
would never think to type it in. Whereas like a lot
that's
of
fair.
these are hits in a way as like I'm gonna keep going back to like Through the Late Night or Goosebumps or
Hmm.
Outside. So that's why I thought it needed to
Outside is a good
squeeze
one.
in here for the number 10. And I think we should try and
I
stick to like
yeah.
60 seconds, by the way, per album if we can.
Okay. Try my best. For some of the later ones, it might be a little bit longer, but
Yeah,
yeah, I like this pick a lot. It's a really underrated album. It's not on my list, but like I would give it like an 8.5. It's really great.
valid.
Yeah.
Totally valid.
Got some of his best songs. Through the Late Night is all time as a big Kid Cudi fan. So Yeah.
So then what we'll do now is like when you give yours, just say it out loud and then I'll type it in.
Okay, my number 10 is an album there's no way you have listened to. It is Food by MF Doom. This no two M's,
Oh,
two
okay.
M's. This is now by MF Doom, the acclaimed rapper who died a few years ago. Sadly, we didn't know about it until much later, but he's one of my favorite rappers. This album is a concept album all about food. He just raps about food the entire time. Which is awesome, and does it in such a unique way. I mean, the first song is literally called Beef Rap, which I just think is awesome. It's got some of the coolest beats, and I think you would really like the ideas on this album. I just don't think you'd like MF Doom and his style of rapping. I think you might have actually made fun of me for listening to him before because he didn't like it, but
I
that's
definitely did.
fine. My favorite, yeah, um, just so many great songs, and my favorite song on this would have to be Rap Snitches Knishes, which is a great song. But anyway, that's my number 10.
All right.
Rap Snitch Knishes featuring Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, I see that. It's not even like put in as like the normal way you put in a feature.
Yeah, it's very weird. Very strange album, but I love it for its weirdness.
Um, okay. Number nine. I don't know if you'll see this coming, but you see me start typing it in.
Wow.
Eternal Atake
Wow.
has made it into my top 10 rap albums.
Wow.
This it got it's okay. There's very few albums that have built up hype in the way that this one did and then delivered. So that was one of the reasons why I was like, this has to be my top 10. It's going to be low because there's a lot that's better than it. But forget it. If you include its deluxe as part of it,
I like
it
that
should be
one
even
better.
higher. But I thought that was unfair
Yeah.
because it's got all those leaks, like Kobe Roley's on there, and Moon Relate, and a bunch of other ones. So that would have just been unfair. I figured this is what Eternal Take actually was because he didn't even name the deluxe Eternal Take. So,
Yeah.
but like even a Whole Lot of Red, insane hype for years,
Yeah.
and I actually really like that album, but don't think it
I
lived
love
up to the hype. It was good. It was really good. I listened to it a lot. It's like if you when I look at some of my most listened to albums of all time, most listened to, it's actually in my top 10 because of how much I listened to it. But I still
it.
think it could have been better for the hype that was built up. Whereas Eternal Take, I look at it and I say I would change nothing about it. I would not even slightly.
I think there's one exception to that we're probably going to both talk about later. But Eternal Take is actually an album I really like. I'll never forget when this in the deluxe came out, even though it's not on my list. It was such a memorable moment because everyone was waiting for it, and it was great. It was a great album.
Sitting in math class, I think my senior year, is that when this dropped? Right, right before COVID,
Uh,
I think.
yeah. Very similar to around
Yeah,
COVID.
2020.
That's what made it really interesting because it's such an album you want to listen to with your friends. You want to go out and listen to it at a party, and then you just got to be in the house. So I remember playing a lot of Call of Duty and listening to this album.
All right. Tell me what I'm typing.
So my number 9 is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Um, Kendrick
This is a very
Lamar's
good
most
album.
recent album. I know you like this album. That makes me really
I
happy.
do like
I
this
adore
album.
this album. Kendrick is probably my favorite rapper ever nowadays. I love this album. I saw it live twice. It's got so many interesting ideas. It's like definitely his least concept album driven, like, and it's very raw. It's very honest. It's very much about his life. But it's got some straight bangers on the too. I mean, N95 goes crazy, and then Count Me Out, and then Savior featuring Baby Keem is a song that I absolutely adore. I'll never forget coming back to America the month after this came out, and us all listening to it made me really happy. And yeah, Kendrick is awesome, and I just think this album is really cool and really fun.
This album
Uh,
was very
I
impressive.
couldn't pick a favorite.
What'd you say?
Yeah, I couldn't pick a favorite song.
Oh, a favorite song? Could I even pick a favorite song off here? It would either be N95 or Rich Spirit for
Rich
me.
Spirit is so good.
Rich Spirit,
Yeah,
it is really good. But so is
yeah,
Count Me Out, though. I mean, Count Me Out is
yeah.
insane. Um,
Yes.
one sec. I want to see something real quick. Um, I'm turning off the share screen for a sec so I can check something. Bear with me for a sec. Okay. We're gonna need to keep it off because I'm pretty sure that for whatever reason, when I shared that screen, that we lost our uh, what's it called, like our video. I won't know
Oh,
until I
really?
play it back, but I don't think it's worth the risk for us to record for an hour just to know that our cameras were off the entire time. But when I was checking the
Okay.
screen, that's what it looked like. I'm gonna test it one more time and just see. So we're back on the screen. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't work. That's fine. Save. That means that we might have just gone for like 10 minutes with just black screens talking to each other. The audio's fine, but we're gonna have to stay like this if we actually want to keep our video. I'd rather have our video than have nothing. If anything, if you what you
Okay.
want, what we could do is just pull up the album on your phone and just hold it up to the camera. If you have your phone nearby, just do that. It'll be kind of funny at least. Also, I forgot to say for my number for Eternal Take, I gave it 8.7. So 0.1 better than Birds in the Trap. Yeah.
That's fire.
My number eight, I'm pulling that up on my phone right now. Bam. Recovery, Eminem.
Recovery by Eminem.
Okay.
Wow.
This was one of the most annoying decisions by a mile because I'm sitting here
Really?
and I'm like, what Eminem album could I possibly put in the top 10? Because he's obviously an incredible rapper. I put him in my top 10 rappers for sure. And I was like, I know one of these albums has to be here, but which one? So I went through all of them and I had to go with this one because I think that this album, like I scored a bunch of them, and especially because this one with hype first output, longevity, my personal enjoyment of a lot of the songs. When you actually sit back, like you think of Recovery and you don't think of it as like one of his top albums, but then when you look at some of the songs on it, like Won't Back Down, Not Afraid, actually, I'm gonna pull up the deluxe edition. Talking to Myself, No Love with Eminem, Spacebound, Cinderella Man, 25 to Life, So Bad, Love the Way You Lie. Just Love the Way You Lie you alone, I think just that one track already boosts it way ahead of other albums.
Hmm.
And then when you actually sit back and actually look at a lot of those songs, like Not Afraid, Love the Way You Lie, and No Love is a crazy, crazy three tracks to have on the same album.
Yeah.
Incredibly popular.
Yeah.
Especially Not Afraid and Love the Way You Lie, which are still stupidly popular now. You know, like using them in movies and still hearing them on the radio and shit like that. So when I thought about that, even though Marshall Mathers LP2 has Rap God, I did consider that, but I was like, I looked at the other songs, I was like, it's like kind of just Rap God and like a few others that actually have some longevity to them when you really think
Yeah.
about it. So even though this isn't the what I think would be the most popular answer, I think it's the right answer because I was also comparing it to other trap albums and I'm like, there's other albums that just have more longevity, but this one is like beating the ass of so many albums just because of the popular songs that came out of it.
I don't think I've ever listened to this album in full, but you're not you're not wrong that it has instantly recognizable songs that will live forever. So it's worth picking and worth listening to.
And I gave it
So I respect
what did I give it? I think at 8.8. Yeah, 8.8. So 0.1 ahead of Eternal Take. Good job, Eminem. You beat Uzi.
it. My number eight is something that the more I think about it, it should be higher, but I'm going to keep it here for now. It's Astroworld by Travis Scott.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
crazy.
I know,
That's
I know,
so low.
I know. It's so good though, and this is the album that I was
Did you
talking about.
possibly
That
have ahead of Astro World for
you'll
that
see.
many more? That is your
Wait till
most
see what's on my honorable
L
mention.
L take.
Um, this is the album that I was talking to when you were talking about Eternal Take. This is the album that had the most hype that actually lived up to it. I think this album generated a crazy amount of hype. Like there would not be a more album I was more excited for, and it delivered. It's one of my favorite albums ever. I love it, even though it's low on my list. It's top 10 and would be in my like top 10 albums ever,
I'm
probably
so excited
across all genres.
to hear what you have to say about albums higher than this because I'm gonna destroy you. Like if I hear like Brockhampton is head of Astroworld, any
Brockhampton's on my
Brockhampton
list.
project,
Yeah.
right?
But Travis Scott's Astroworld is such an awesome album on all accounts, from the
It
release, from
is.
the concept, all the songs, and all the
Yes,
features, all the features. Such a memorable listening experience, and we listen to it all the time. So yeah, it's perfect.
I agree a million times over. I have it way higher than you. Like
I know
that,
you do.
I'll spoil it. It's in my top 10, obviously, and that's our first overlap album.
That's the
That
one
we
I knew
know.
we were going to overlap on.
Yeah, yeah. There's one more that I now that I know that's the one of them. So that was one of my two, and then there's one more. It's like fucking. I would stop being a friend if this album wasn't in your top 10. Like that's how much I know that it's in. Um,
It's really
so
high too. Yeah, so
so that was your number eight, Astroworld.
yeah, yeah.
Jeez. All right, I'll pull up my number seven. I don't think this would be in your top 10, but it might be. I don't know.
Goodbye and good riddance. Absolutely not. I like the
Goodbye,
album though.
goodbye, and good riddance, Juice World. All right, let me defend this because I figured this would be one of the more questionable choices. Juice World is like easily one of the most influential artists that's come out in since 2000. I mean, the guy he like took trap and elevated it because trap at the time when he got popular, I think was very focused on melody. It was focused not just melody, it was focused on melody and beats, but it wasn't focused on bars at all. Juice World somehow was not only able to surpass some of the most popular people with melody and beats, but then also pounded them into the floor with bars. And not only that, he's like one of the only trap artists that I would see do a freestyle on the radio and one, think it's better than anybody else freestyling, but two, actually believe it's a freestyle. Because I've heard some really good freestyles that like on like Breakfast Club or like other like radio shows, and I think that they're written, right? The only person actually that I believe maybe didn't write it was besides Juice WRLD was Lil Dicky. I think he may have actually freestyled because he's good at that. But and this album, first off, no skips for me. On I would listen every single song. I not only listen to, I know the words to, and just when this came out, I remember listening to Lucid Dreams, being like, "Who is this? It's a nobody." You actually showed it to me. You're like, "Oh, this song
Did
by
I?
Juice WRLD." I was like, "Juice WRLD? Who the hell is that?
That's so
Who's this
funny
guy?"
because you
Then I
would think
listened to
such a
it,
bigger
and I
deal.
listened to the rest of
Yeah,
the album, and I'm like, "Dude, this album is incredible. This album blows
yeah.
so many albums out of the water. Like even like a very like a really an album that I like a lot by Set Stone Artist. So much fun, Young Thug, awesome album. I think this one destroys it. Even though that album is sick, and Young Thug was an
That
established
album.
person. That album is really
Yeah,
good, but I
yeah.
still think Juice WRLD is beating him with this album, and I don't think any Juice WRLD project is better than this one. I think this is his best project still
I
to
agree.
this.
I agree. Yeah, and kind of like Recovery, it's got some instantly recognizable songs. I mean, Lucid Dreams is a song that
One of
will
the most popular
always be
songs
good.
in the world at the time.
Yeah, and then you got All Girls Are the Same right before that, so it's
Yeah,
great. Yeah, I love it.
and I'll give my score real
But yeah,
quick.
not a huge one for me.
That's my first nine. Nine on the dot, 9.0.
Yeah, okay. Um, Astroworld, I'd give it 10, even though it's 8. So, um, my 7 is Yeezus by Kanye West, 2013
Interesting.
album.
I did not expect that to
Yeah.
be. Please
Oh,
speak. Like,
really?
I didn't expect that at
So this
all.
is an album that the more I listen to it, I've grown to just adore this album over the years. It's in my top 3 Kanye albums. I love it so much. It's such an interesting album because it's really experimental and it's unlike anything he's ever made before. He's gone back to it a few times. There's stuff on Donda that reminds me of Jesus, but it's also very influential, kind of like Juice World was with Goodbye and Good Riddance, and as Kanye was with 808s and Heartbreaks and other albums. But yeah, when I first listened to this, when I was getting into Kanye, when Life of Pablo came out, I didn't really like it. I didn't really get it. I loved like Black Skin Head, which is everyone knows that song. Um, but yeah, the more I listen to it, the more I get into the deeper songs, and the
Blood on
more
the
I get into like
leaves.
the production. Blood on Leaves is a banger. But it's also got some of his funniest rapping ever. There's so many memorable bars on this. He there's There's a line where he says, "Eating Asian pussy, all I need is some sweet and sour sauce," and I'll never forget when he said that. When hearing him say that for the first time. Um, so yeah, it's just such a fun album. It's so short, but it's so condensed and like it flies by. It's like 10 songs, but they're all great in my opinion. This is a no skip album at all, and I love it.
Okay. I'll tell you why I didn't think you were going to say that because I remember growing up, you and Pete would regard this as one of the worst Kanye albums.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah,
And
exactly.
now
Yeah,
that's why, but the second you pulled it up, I was like, I didn't realize your
yeah.
opinion changed so drastically. You just said it was in your top three. Whereas when you first showed it to me, you were like, this is one of the worst. Like, it's got Black Skin Head and Blood on the Leaves, and that's it. That was at the time how I
That's
thought of that
insane.
album.
That's insane. Yeah, that's criminal for me. But yeah, it's definitely an album. The more you listen to it, your opinions can change over the time.
So that's your number seven.
Yeah.
All right. Number six. I don't know if you would expect this or not. I'm not sure how much you know how much I like this album or this artist, but Playboy,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
Playboy Cardi's
Awesome.
self-titled.
Awesome pick.
What?
Awesome pick.
Yeah,
Awesome pick. I
Playboy
love that
Cardi's
album.
self-titled. Another 9.0. I rated it the same as Juice WRLD's, but it's like a 9.0. They're rated the same, but I think this is better. But I couldn't give it a 9.1. I don't even know how to explain that. They're both nines, but this is a better nine. This song, this not this song, this album is insane. Like the only reason
It's
it's
crazy.
this low is because everything else is just like this is where it starts to get hard because this album is like I can't even begin to describe just to name some tracks in a row. Location, Magnolia, Looking, Woke Up Like This, Let It Go, Half and Half, New Choppa. That's a crazy line right there of what is that, like seven tracks? Insanity.
Yeah.
And there's also Do
Yeah.
That Shit, Ya Mean?
That shit is insane.
I
I
mean,
love
and
that.
also Playboy Cardi, like, I don't know what he did or who he found, but he changed the game for beats because I had heard nothing like this beat wise until him. Now I hear shit like this all the time, similar stuff, and it's
Yeah.
still good,
Very popular now.
but he did it first. At least from what I
Yeah.
noticed, he did it first. And he also like he took what everyone was doing with trap, which was like saying nonsense with a good beat and a good flow, but then
He says
he like
that.
took what was like okay, and then he made it like sick,
Yeah.
like to
The
where
difference
and
is his voice is so cool.
that too.
Like
His
he
voice
sounds
is so
awesome.
unique. I
Yeah. He sounds awesome doing it. Like I don't care what he's saying. Usually I would be so upset that it's
don't care what
like
he's saying at
you're
all.
doing fucking nonsense. But that's not the point. It's not my favorite Cardi album, but Location is like probably my favorite song by him. So I love it, and I love that you have a Cardi album on here.
Dude, when I
It's
hear
great to have.
him, like when I can actually understand him, I get pissed. I don't want
Yeah,
to
it's like I
understand
don't
him.
want to. I don't care what you say.
When I'm
Yeah,
in the car, I just want to be like this. I buy in the paddock with do that shit. That's how I want to be in the car.
that's your number six.
That's my number six.
Wow, that's really high. I like that. Not really high, but it's higher than I thought. I didn't even
I
think
don't
you'd
even
have a
know if you
Cardi
think
in
it'd
your
be
top.
even be in the top 10.
No, especially not. Well, no, I knew that was your favorite one.
Yeah, I've always stayed strong. That is my
Yeah,
favorite. His next
love
album
that.
is really good, but his self-titled is just like in my mind, it's cemented as being so insane. It's one of my it's I mean it's one of my favorite rap albums ever for for trap and this genre in
Yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah. And it's definitely like I'm not a huge trap fan. There's some trap albums I love, but Cardi kind of is like up there for me in terms of trap, just because it's so much fun and it's like it's the good type of mumble rap. It's like because it's actually doing something interesting and it's not just lazy. You
Yeah,
know, it's not lazy, which is kind of crazy to say because
it
he is
doesn't even
talking
make
nonsense.
sense. It doesn't make sense. But say
Yeah.
yours, say yours.
So my number six is "Damn" by Kendrick Lamar. Let
Two
me pull it up. Yeah.
hundreds.
Yeah, dude, Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest artists of all
Not even
time.
in. It's not even in mine. Not even in mine. Not once.
That's just
And I don't hate
that's
Kendrick.
just
I really don't. I like his music, but I think everybody else I've been naming has made better albums.
Juice World has made better albums than Kendrick Lamar.
I think Juice World. I think Juice World has
Um,
made a bigger impact on the genre than Kendrick. And
moving
maybe
on.
listen, maybe
Damn
I'm
is a
biased because he died, but I think he made a bigger impact. Call me crazy. Kendrick's really good. He's like an incredible rapper. Actually, he has a ridiculous amount of skill. Juice WRLD just has a different type of skill. It's different.
You might be the only person I know to actually get mad that there's two Kendricks in my top 10 and not like, you know, like that's baffling to
That's why I
me.
wanted
But
to do
yeah,
this
this
with you
album,
because I knew I would have been annoyed to do this with somebody who was just like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Would have been boring. But I
yeah,
was like, me and Jake are gonna have different fucking picks, like vastly different picks and opinions. That's the whole point. It's the internet safe
very true.
space.
Yeah, so don't get on me about having Astroworld at 8.
Oh yeah,
I'm
my
supposed to be
bad.
safe. It's
My bad. Terrible
no, I
friend.
mean,
Bad. And bad.
yeah, you've never been the biggest Kendrick guy, so I kind of get it, but
Yeah,
I
it's
totally
just.
am.
But his newest album, I will say this, is my favorite he's ever made. I think it's
Yeah,
better
I
than
love that.
Damn.
I think that album, Mr. Morale, is so underrated, like in his discography, and
It's
it
his best
actually
album.
makes me really happy that you love it. It's like my second favorite album.
It
This
made
is
me
my
like
favorite Kendrick
Kendrick
album.
as an artist more. Like before that, I
This,
would probably very rarely even search up a Kendrick song besides like Mad City or what is it, Swimming Pools?
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that album too. But this album's really cool. It got me into Kendrick. I love the whole concept of it and how it can be played backwards and forwards and the whole story it tells. And then it's got some obvious like recognizable songs like DNA, which is crazy. Like that beat switch goes nuts. And Element, which I love, and yeah, just some really cool stuff. But yeah, that's my number six.
All right. We made it top
Bring
five.
it to top five. Yeah.
Number five, I think you'd know this is in my top 10, and I'm curious as to if it's in yours. I'll kind of be annoyed if it's not, to be honest, but professional rap.
No way, it's in my top 10.
This guy.
but,
Professional rap.
but I do like that album. I
Professional
do like that
rapper,
album.
Lil
I knew
Dicky,
you were gonna pick it. I knew
top
you were gonna pick
10.
it.
It's actually not only is it in my top 10, it's in my top five favorite rap albums. This album has almost no skips for me. I think there's like one or two tracks I don't listen to on it. Um, and there's and I have a very good reason for why it's in my top 10. I have never heard anything like it, and I'm still yet to. And that's huge
It-
because he
yeah.
came in with this idea of like I'm gonna do it different, which so many people do, and somehow there's been no copycats. I'd actually say the closest person I could say to a copycat is Babytron or Young Gravy because those two artists are like they do like the goofy shit, where like Young Gravy's always talking about like milfs and food and muffins and shit, and then and Babytron is like shitty boys and talking about just like random shit, right? Those two people they don't take themselves as seriously, but still I consider Lil Dicky separate. They almost made like a more trappy iteration of Lil Dicky. Like they're kind of like branches, but I still think nobody's
Yeah.
actually done like the anti-rap thing the way that Lil Dicky did
No.
it. Because even Young
Yeah.
Gravy and Babytron still try to sound cool. Lil Dicky didn't really try to sound cool. He tried to sound the
He didn't.
opposite.
He didn't care.
And
Yeah.
he got a Snoop Dogg feature on his first album. That's also kind of nuts in my mind.
Yeah.
That song too. I
If
mean,
we were, yeah, this is a great song. Great video too.
oh, his
Great
music
music video.
videos. Don't even get me started on his music videos. He's one of the best music video creators ever.
Yeah. If we were making a list of like the top 10 funniest rap albums, this would definitely be number one. It's so funny, but it's also so emotional. I mean, Molly is one of the greatest songs
Molly is
I've heard.
an
Yeah,
incredible song.
I love that. I adore that song. But yeah, I'm not quite as big on this as you.
And
But
Pillow Talking
I
is
know
one of
that
the
you like it.
few like 10-minute songs I actually will sit and listen to all the way through and be comfortable doing that.
That song is crazy. That's a great video too. Yeah, his music videos really elevate the songs for me
They do.
personally.
After watching the music videos, the songs
Yeah,
got better.
yeah. Where did Lil Dicky go? Made Dave.
Dave now. Also, I gave that a 9.1.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
All right.
I'm glad that it's there because I have very fond memories of listening to this album with you.
Yeah.
Um, my number five is Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator, an album I'm sure you expected to see, and you might be mad about it.
Igor is a better
But I'll start
album than
there.
that.
Igor's not really rap album. He doesn't really rap on it,
I mean,
and
What's
neither
Good
is
is
this.
rap.
I mean, what's good is and New Magic Wand and
And dude,
yeah,
Earthquake
he's
is
got
rap. Playboy Cardi's on it.
yes, he is. That's a great song. Um, I don't know. I don't think about it like that, and I guess I don't really think about this as that. But it's got more rapping songs, and
But
it's
also,
like
that's my
it's
favorite
Tyler
Tyler
Creator.
album. So
Yeah, this is mine. This is mine too. This is my favorite Tyler album because, yeah, just all the memories of when it came out and listening to it with everybody, and just like and I think the album is so perfect. Like, there's no skips for me. There's so many interesting ideas on it, and it's something Tyler had never really done before. It was a new step for him, and then he's moved into this new career where he's making such interesting music. But this was like the first album that I listened to in full by Tyler. I was like, this is like so much better than all his other works. It was such a mature work, um, but it's also so much fun. Like, I Ain't Got Time is a banger, straight
it
banger,
is
and
my favorite
911
song
Mr.
on that
Lonely.
album.
Yeah, and Boredom, and it's just got so many relatable ideas, and I just love it. I'm super nostalgic pick, but I do think the album's actually really good too. Yeah,
Um, Number four. Let me pull that up real quick for you. Wonder if you no, you probably knew this would be in here, to be honest. Oh,
yeah.
can't see
I
it.
was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. It's lower than I thought it was going to be.
If you're reading this, it's too late. Greatest Drake album of all time. It
Without a
has
doubt.
the one of the best five-song stretches that I've ever heard in my entire life. Legend, Energy, 10 Bands, Know Yourself, No Tellin'. That is, those are like
It's
hits in a row.
unrivaled. It's unrivaled.
It's insane. I've
Yeah,
said before that I think this is the best five starting songs on an album ever. There's an album that
I
rivals it, but this is it's my number one album is the one I think
oh,
rivals
okay.
this. But
Yeah,
yeah, this is low because the three that are above this are just better. That's it. They're just better. I actually think Drake has some of the best bars in here. He might even have better bars than the album I put above this. He definitely does. The bars were not enough. At the end of the day, I'm listening to songs, not poems. So, you can have bars and bars and
yeah.
bars, but it's still a song at the end of the day, and so that's why this isn't higher. But it's a 9.2. Um, and Company too. Oh my God, Company is so good. I think Company is my favorite song off that album.
Mine's 6
Like,
p.m. in New York. Love that
dude,
song.
Company is so
Yeah.
good. Star 67, underrated, but it's good. There's just,
Yeah. Say what
I
you
don't know.
want. Say what you want about Drake. I have my own thoughts about Drake, but this is a timeless album.
Yeah, this Drake
It
album, I
really
mean, you
is.
knew Drake would be in my top 10 somewhere. This is it. He's not in it again. This is the only album.
That makes me really happy he's not in your top three.
There's no Drake album that's better than the three albums I put there.
But I wasn't mad about this pick at all because I might talk about it later.
That'd be crazy. You having a Drake album higher than the Drake album in my top 10 is completely unexpected.
No, we'll see.
All right, number four for you.
So my number four is another super nostalgic pick, but I do think this album's really good. Man on the Moon, The End of the Day, Deluxe, Kid
I
Cudi's
considered
first
that.
album.
That's a great album.
That makes me really happy. Yeah, this album really sparked something in me. Got into it when I was moving to Australia, so it helped me through a really tough time. But it's got super personal songs, super emotional songs, but also like super powerful songs. I mean, and then it's got bangers like Day and Night. Everyone's heard that song. Everyone's heard Pursuit of Happiness too, especially like the remix. But yeah, I mean, I just love everything about this album. What he's going for with the concepts, but like also just like him rapping super personally and creating super beautiful melodies. And Kid Cudi is one of my favorite artists ever. So yeah, that's it.
I respect that. I considered that, and I considered Man on the Moon 3.
I
Neither of
love
them
that
made
album
it,
too.
but I
Yeah,
looked at them, re-listened to them, and considered them heavily. But these next three, I mean, these next
Man
three.
on the Moon 3 is super underrated.
Um, Let me pull up. Bang.
Wow, wow, I love this album.
Love
I
is
love
Rage
this album
2.
so much.
It might be the
Yeah,
only 20-track album in existence that I have zero skips on, including its deluxe. There's not a single song on the album that I don't know and don't like. That album is so unbelievably fire. It's like it fully deserves top three. I never even wait. These top three I didn't waver on at all. this one was in there. I knew Uzi be first off. We also can acknowledge Uzi's in my top 10 twice. So,
That's crazy.
which is
I
crazy.
knew
I
he'd be
think
there.
Uzi is an insane artist. He's one of the few people who I think just hasn't fallen off. A lot of people disagree with me on that. I think Pink Tape is incredible. And the reason I think, and Pink Tape is in my top 10, but I'm just talking about it because I want to acknowledge that Uzi has been changing his sound and actually changing it in a way that's not ass. Like, did like a rap rock album with Pink Tape, and it's awesome. Like, there's so many bangers on there for me. I still listen to Pink Tape songs. I was listening to one today when I was driving home from work. And there's not many artists besides, I will give a shout out to Yachty because he's changed his sound in a way that I hate, but also in a way that I enjoy. So, but yeah, Uzi is top 10. I still listen to that album to this day.
It's a great album.
It's
True
incredible.
story. When this album came out, I despised it. But I was tripping.
You don't
I'm
like
so
No
wrong.
Sleep on Me?
No, I quickly became came to love it. And I didn't come to love it like years later. It was just like I don't know. I don't know why I didn't like it at first. I think it came out the same night as Flower Boy, and I was really mad that people were
And
listening to this for the first
17 by
time.
X.
Oh my god, yeah, that was a crazy night. Yeah, because I thought 17, or maybe it came out the same night as 17, not Flower Boy. Um, anyway, yeah, 17 is a better album in my opinion, but this album's great too.
And then for the score, I gave it a 9.3.
Yeah, well, I mean, so many bangers. Neon Guts, it's such a good song. It's so
For
good.
real? For real, for real, for real. For real.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, is this my number three?
Top three. We're
The
here.
more the more I think about this should probably be my number one album. Um, The Life of Pablo by Kanye West. It's in my top three, dude. It's in my top three.
I'm
It's in my
so
top three.
pissed.
It's in my top three. You can't be mad about
Oh wait, this is the internet safe space. It's chill. It's chill. I'm not upset.
that. This is one of the coolest albums ever made. One of my favorite albums ever made. Um, uh, like literally no skips. Ten
I
out of
can't
ten
talk about it
album.
yet. Actually, I skipped one
Yeah,
track on there though, low key. I don't
yeah.
really listen to low res.
This was the second one I knew we would overlap on.
Yes, we overlap on it.
Yeah. It's it's an unrivaled work from the features to the just his songs to the concept of it. It's and such fun memories. This is like one of the most nostalgic picks because this was like the album that I was listening to when Black Ops 3 came out, which is like the biggest game for me ever. I spent so many hours playing
Agreed.
that game with you and everybody else listening to this album specifically every day after school, on the weekends. And I still listen to the album today, which is how you know it's gonna live forever. So yeah.
I'm not gonna speak on it because we'll get to it. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
anything.
I
I'm
wish
just
I
gonna.
could have it higher. I feel like I should be in my number one, like I said.
All right, let's get number two. Bum 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 bang. Astro World.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Oh
kind of,
wow.
we all know my number one is now, but
Yeah.
9.5. This album is one of the most incredible albums I've listened to in my whole life. I'll never
Yeah.
forget you texting me because I listened to it a little bit later because I was like, I don't know what I was doing, but I didn't listen to it until like 12:30. But you listened to it right when it dropped. And I just remember you texting me being like, you're gonna like Sicko Mode. No other context. And I was like, okay. I wasn't even that big of a Travis fan at this point. Like I liked him.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was only just discovering rap music as a genre. So I'd only known Travis for like a year, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
like everyone's hyping this up, but I wasn't like this huge Travis fan. So I went into this. That's what made it so good. I went into this with like mid expectations. I was like, this will just be another album. When I got to Sicko Mode, it was one of it is to this day the best song listening experience, like when a song's released that I've had in my entire life. Unrivaled listening experience for like first time hearing a track. When I heard Drake say Astro, I almost collapsed onto the floor because this was such an insane collab at the time. Like I feel like a lot of artists now, like big ones like Drake releases music all the time now. At that time, Drake did not release music often at all. And he also seldom did features at the time. Like I remember anytime
Yeah.
there's a Drake feature, I'd be so hyped because they were rare. Whereas now, like
Mm,
Drake puts out music every 5 seconds. It's very different. Artists in general, I've just noticed, have been pumping out music more frequently.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
And he
this
hit it. He
is
didn't say the feature. Like that's the awesome. Usually you'll see the track list before,
yes, it
and you're like,
was
oh, that's
separate.
artist featured. I'm hyped for that. But no, it's just like you listen to it, and then all of a sudden you hear Drake, and yeah, it's one of the most memorable
You
moments
listen
ever.
to it
Because
still now. It's so good.
yeah, even me, not the biggest Drake fan, especially at the time, I was like, oh my god,
He
that
went
is
in.
crazy. Like,
He went in for
yeah,
no
yeah,
reason.
and it's a great verse. And there's like three beat switches on that song. Insane.
It keeps you in it the whole time, and it's just
Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard it more times than I've heard a lot of things. Let me
I
say
could
that.
talk
Say
about
that.
it
But
for
it's
so long, but I'm not going to because of the interest of time. But this album as a whole, like I know we just talked about Sicko Mode for like a whole minute, but in general, the songs are just awesome.
yeah, it's Sycamore is not even my favorite song on the album.
It is my favorite song.
Can't say.
Call Me Basic.
Don Tolliver.
Yeah, Can't Say is
No,
insane.
it's a great pick.
Stop Trying to Be God
Um,
actually is one of my favorites. And No Bystanders. Shout out Juice again.
No
5%
Bystanders
Tin.
is a great song.
NC-17.
Yeah. Carousel's got a Frank Ocean feature. I'll never forget that either, which you
Oh
probably don't
yeah,
care
that
about.
was
But
huge. Still hasn't dropped.
yeah,
All right, give it to me.
not exactly a rap album, but Blonde would be in my top 10 albums ever. So my number two,
Yeah,
because the Internet Childish Gambino. This is an album that had to be here.
that's valid.
Like
I
it had to
considered
be
this
here.
one.
It had to be here. I was wondering if you were gonna put this on your list or either
I
honorable
can
mentions.
because there's only like one song that I actually still would listen to now
Yeah,
and still do.
yeah. Yeah. This is the first album I ever listened to in full, like ever. It's the album that got me into rap music as a genre. It got me into the idea of a concept album or listening to an album. Usually, I would just listen to songs, and yeah, it's. I still listen to it this day. It inspires me every day. He's got this whole screenplay behind it. He's got all the concepts, but just the songs individually too. I mean, 3005 is a top five song ever made. Probably higher than that for me, to be honest. Like me and you listen to this all the time. You know all the words. I
I know every single word.
uh, yeah, sweatpants, of course, and then yeah, just the worst guys with Chance the Rapper, and then I just think there's so many small underappreciated songs on this, and I just get so wrapped up in this album and all it does, and yeah, it's another super nostalgic pick, but I love this album, and I love Gambino. I love what he's done with his career. I know you don't. I love the directions he's
Yeah, I do
taken.
not like the direction.
His stuff. Even if it doesn't always work for me, I just find it super interesting and dares to try something different, even if it pisses some people off. And I kind of respect that. But yeah, that's my number
Yeah,
two.
3005 is in my top five songs of all time, undoubtedly.
Yeah,
Might even be in the top three. I'd have to actually really think
yeah,
about it. It's
yeah, that's a hard
one of
list.
the most incredible rap songs I've listened to in my entire life. It is just peak.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It
Now,
is.
we're skipping number one. We're not going there yet. I know you all want it. Whoever's out there listening or will be listening, but you're not getting it just yet, even though we kind of
I
know what
think
mine
we have
is.
the same artist. I think we have
I
the same artist for number one.
I have no fucking idea what album you have there. I'm
Really?
I don't know which one it is. I mean, um, I'll make it. On my
Make a
guess,
guess right now. I want.
graduation. That's my guess.
Okay.
Graduation is my guess.
Okay.
Um, but
My guess for you is, "Awaken My Love" by Childish Gambino.
let me change my guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I don't even know the name of this fucking album. I guarantee it's by Lil Mabu. Whatever's up
Oh
there,
yeah. No, it's not.
it's gonna be a
Yeah.
Lil Mabu only has one
It's
album, but
actually Yeah, it's actually For All the Dogs by Drake. So spoilers.
oh, I thought it was CLB, so that's on me. That's on me. All right. So
Okay.
honorable
How are we doing honorable
mentions.
mention?
We're gonna kind of just go through this like a lot faster since they're not in the top 10. They're not the point. We're just kind of like stalling the number one. So we're gonna start. I'll start with mine. So this would be my number 11 because I did put them in order still. Um,
I,
Kitsy
uh,
Ghost.
that's my number 11 too.
Nice.
Dude,
Hell yeah.
it's so hard to leave this off. It was so hard to leave this off because I spent so many hours listening, but it's only 7 songs. You say you can't put it higher than
That's why it was tough
some album.
because that was my number 10, and then I switched it with Birds in the Trap because I was like, Birds in the Trap is
Wow.
just better. It's just a like
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
such good
It's
memories
hard to debate.
with Kitsy Ghosts, but yeah, I didn't want to leave it off. I really
Like,
wanted it to be there.
it was the hardest thing to do for me because I adore this album so much.
Yeah, it's a
I
weirdly
mean,
good late Kanye album.
and yeah, them together on it, and it's got so many great songs. Like every song is good
I
because
have
it's
it
only
on
seven
vinyl
songs.
on
So
my wall in my room.
hell yeah, that's awesome.
All right,
Okay,
12.
well that's my number 11 too. What's
Yeah,
your 12?
Watch the Throne.
Wow, not in my honorable mentions, but that's a great pick.
Really?
Not in my honorable mentions.
That unless it's your number one, no, I don't think it would be. That's surprising.
I know. I don't know why. I mean, I've never had the biggest relationship to the album. Um,
The
I've
Paris
always
song,
loved it. It was the Paris song
and
is of
Otis,
course great. Otis is great. Gotta
and No
have it. Great
Church,
merge.
Frank
Artist
Ocean.
excellence. I know it's an amazing album. I don't know. I just never listened to it that much. I listened to the songs individually. It wasn't on Spotify for the longest time, so I don't have like
No.
super connect.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that actually.
probably why, but I don't know. It's a great album. My number 12, another album that was so hard to leave off this list is Rodeo by Travis Scott. I think
Valid,
this is an awesome album. This
valid.
album's so sick. It's got his best song, 90210, in my opinion. Um, and it's got just so many other great songs. Oh My Decide. And yeah, it's my second favorite Travis album. Astroworld, obviously an accomplishment, but Rodeo is still awesome. And I really wanted to mention it.
That's a great pick. Rodeo. I debated between Rodeo and Birds in the Trap, but I was like Birds in the Trap is just better for me. I think
Yeah,
it would
it's
go
got more of
Astro
its hits.
Birds in the Trap Rodeo.
And then Utopia.
Yeah.
Do you like Utopia?
Yes, a lot. It's got some great. My Eyes is just so good. And
Great song.
Fiend is one of my favorite party songs.
Fiend
If I'm drunk out of my
Fiend
mind
is
and I hear Fiend, I'm just like Fiend,
yeah. My life
Fiend.
would change. Yeah,
That
it's
song
great.
made me happy. So good. And
Yeah.
I know it was obviously great too.
Yes.
All right, 13. So much fun. Young Thug was talking about this earlier. Um,
Nice. I really like this album. I was surprised by how much I liked
you were surprised
it.
by how much I liked it.
That too. Yeah.
I was not a Young Thug fan before that album came out. I actually would like pretty heavily say I disliked him as a rapper. So much fun changed my perspective on Young Thug. I was like, wait, this guy's got some talent. There's some incredible songs on here.
Yeah. It's a fire album. Pretty underrated. I think it kind of went under the radar. I feel like.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
I actually when I first made the list, it was in my top 10, and then
Hmm.
as I thought about it more and I found more albums, it just got pushed lower and lower until it got pushed out.
Yeah.
But it definitely
I
deserves
would have
to
been
be.
pissed if you put So Much Fun over Kitsy Ghost.
What'd you say?
I would have been pissed if you put So Much Fun over Kitsy. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
No, Kitsy Ghost is right out of the 10. It's pushed right
Yeah.
out.
Me too. Yeah. So my number 13 is If You're Reading This Is Too Late, Drake. The
Okay,
only
you know
time
what?
Drake will come up,
Respect. It's an honorable mention.
I had to mention it. Like it needed to be mentioned by me because of how much I listened to it, because of how hard Drake goes on it. This is what I miss from Drake. Drake actually rapping like he gives a shit. Nowadays, I feel like his music is so boring. He feels like monotone because whatever he's going to put out is going to make money. But that's a separate conversation. This album's awesome. Like you said, the first 5 tracks are just unrivaled, and past that, so many other bangers. And yeah, there's a real hunger and drive. So I really love it.
Um, 14. Die for My Bitch, Baby Keem.
I love that album. I like Melodic Blue a little more, but that album's great too.
I do not. That is actually, I think, so from what I talk to people, I have the unpopular opinion saying that this is better. But Melodic Blue
Yeah,
is
that is.
great. It was a really good next album for him to drop. But this album, I can like so I actually remember one time my friend Tommy picked me up from college and was driving me back to home, and we started from stats and just listened to this album start to finish, and it was just incredible. Like I just like I can sit down and listen to this album start to finish and be very happy with the listening experience, more so than I can with a lot of albums. I just and I like Melodic Blue. I would find myself getting bored faster than I would with this one. This is just like I like this Baby Keem more than that Baby Keem.
That's fair. I can't complain because I mean this album also has so many amazing songs. So I like Baby Keem a lot.
Yeah, Baby Keem is sick.
This is an artist I was wondering if you thought I would mention. Under Pressure by Logic. I had to get a
Considered
Logic
under
album
I
on here
considered that album actually.
because Aunt knows, and if you knew me during high school, you knew what Logic was to my life. He was like my favorite artist ever for some reason. Looking back, it's a crazy take. I don't listen to Logic anymore. I still listen to this album and some of the earlier stuff.
Love
But
take.
he's kind of went in a weird direction. But Under Pressure is still so great and inspired me a lot. And like, if you're reading this too late, it's got like that drive and some straight bangers too. So yeah, I had to mention one Logic album. Like I had to mention if you're reading this, it's too late because of what
Mhm.
it meant to me at the time.
And 15 as our last honorable mention before we get to our number ones is this album. Bang. 17 by X.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm
If,
glad you mentioned it.
if it
It's a
even
great album.
loads. I don't know how to make
Yeah.
it look. There you go. Yeah, I had to mention this. Had to. I had to mention X in general. I couldn't put 17 in my top 10 because, as much as I think it is incredible, it does make me want to die when I listen to it.
It's one
It's
of the
so
saddest albums
sad,
ever.
but it's like
Yeah.
he is incredible for being able to elicit that emotional response out of us. And I have to acknowledge,
Yeah.
I have
It's
to
crazy.
acknowledge that X was able to make me feel some type of way from his music. Like Molly by Lil Dicky makes me feel like sad, but not
Hmm.
in the way that this makes me feel sad. I mean, Jocelyn Flores
No,
was
there's
telling
a difference between like sad and depressed. This makes me
yes,
depressed.
yes. This was like just all about being sad and numb. I mean, the names are just insane. Everybody dies in their nightmares, depression and obsession,
Yeah.
dead inside, interlude. I mean, it's insane.
Crazy.
But
Just
the
crazy.
album itself, also how this honorable mention and another album um, in my top 10 dropped on the same day is also insane because Uzi was such a, and this was such a, I listened
Yeah.
to, I wish I listened to them
Food.
in opposite order. I listened to Uzi's first and then I listened to this and I was like, I really
Yep.
wish I
I
listened
did.
to Uzi's second.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to 17 like twice before I listened to Uzi's album just because I needed to hear, which is kind of crazy because of how sad it was. I was like, I need to hear what he just did again because I was not expecting that at all.
I've never heard
Um,
anything like it since then. No one has even
I
come
kind of agree.
close.
Kind of agree. Yeah.
I don't think
And it's still
anybody's
his
made
best work
something
so
like
far.
this.
Like sad to say because he died, obviously, and I think that's also why I have a connection to it too, is because he died. It makes it the album even more interesting.
Yeah.
Um, my number 15 is "Dial It" by Playboi Carti.
Valid.
Yeah,
Great
I love
fucking
this
album.
album.
The album is awesome.
It's so good. I love his self-titled too. But this album is just like I don't know why I like this one more. It's I like them both equally, to be honest. I just think "Dial It" has some songs I prefer by a little bit, like "Shoota" with Uzi, your guy. Um, Flatbed Freestyle. R.I.P. is a crazy song. And yeah, it's just so much fun.
I also want to
Yeah.
say one thing about the X album because I think that there's artists well because like to harp more on the part that no one's ever done this again because there are artists that try to like for example NF tries to go that same like darker emotional route and just
Hmm.
no hate on NF but he just does it like way more poorly. It's just not the same, you know, and it's just I don't know, it's just not the same. But I wanted to acknowledge that
Hmm.
there are artists that do it. They just don't do it the way that
Yeah.
X did it. He did it differently.
Yeah. They're not successful. He like captured a generation
And he's
just
incredibly
like kind of out of
versatile.
nowhere.
He can make any kind of music. Any kind,
Yeah,
any
he
genre
made
doesn't
he
matter.
made songs that I could just fucking go crazy for, but then also just like make me feel like crap. So it's kind of crazy.
All right. Number one, I'll go first.
Okay,
I know you already know what it is. I've also just said this many times, but
just
uh,
so it makes me so happy that you love this album.
The Life of Pablo is
Yes,
the greatest rap album that I've listened to in my entire life. There'll probably be nothing that surpasses it ever. This album is insane. Kanye is insane for creating it. I mean, this stretch also, Ultralight Beam, Father Stretch My Hands Part 1, Part 2, Famous, and even Feedback. The Drake
feedback
5,
is crazy.
the Drake 5 is better, but this 5 is still great. And then
I don't know,
Lowlights,
man. You might be onto something.
Lowlights I typically skip,
Be
and
better.
then everything else I listen
Yeah, it's a no skill album
to.
because
There's
Low Lights
just
is like not that long.
I mean, No More Parties in LA is an insane song. And so is Part Two. Part Two is like the OG hype song for me. Like that's the song you play to get hyped up. It was just like,
Yes,
and obviously then
I
the
think No More
nostalgia.
Parties. Yeah, I think No More Parties in LA is my favorite rap song ever. Like my number one.
Favorite rap song ever.
Yeah, it's literally got my two favorite rappers ever collabing on the same song, and Kendrick gives a great verse, and Kendrick's one of the best rappers ever, but Kanye gives an even better verse on that song, and it's crazy. He out raps him by a shit ton. He goes in. Never heard Kanye rap like that since. Maybe on Off the Grid, but it's one of the
Yeah,
craziest
Off the
verses
Grid
ever.
is insane.
Off the Grid is a banger. I like Donda a lot. That's a great album, but couldn't be a.
Donna is really good actually. All things
It
considered,
is.
I really liked it.
Yeah. Should I give my number one?
Yeah.
It's also a Kanye album. It's not Graduation. My Beautiful Dark Twisted
Oh,
Fantasy.
why did I not say that? I know you blow that album
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I've called this my favorite Kanye album and my favorite album is 2018. And for this list, I've had to stand by that. Um, like I said, I feel like Pablo's kind of overtaken it recently, but uh, Dark Twisted Fantasy is still an awesome album that I listen to every day. It's got zero skips for me. Runaway and Devil in a New Dress are two of my favorite songs ever. Runaway, especially, I've always had such a connection to that song and what he does on it's like 9 minutes, but it's always changing, always interesting. And it's got social recognizable songs like All the Lights, Power, um, and it does a little bit of everything for me because it has some sad songs like Blame Game, and I love the story about this album too. He made it all in Hawaii. In Hawaii, he got this private resort. He made everyone fly out for the features. They had to dress in suits at all time, and it was right after the Taylor Swift incident. So this is at a time where people hated Kanye. People were so mad at him. He went away, and he came back with what was considered his best work, and still kind of considered his best work to this day. Even if people like you prefer Life of Pablo, which I'm not mad at all because I love Life of Pablo. Um, or some people prefers older stuff like College Dropout and Graduation, which I love too. I love pretty much every Kanye album besides Jesus is King, and the last two Vultures album, which are terrible. Um,
Wait,
but yeah,
wait, wait. Vultures 2 is good. I listened to it.
no, that album's
Vultures
so
2
bad.
is good.
No, it's
Hot take.
not.
It's a
Vultures
good
one
album.
is okay. Vultures one is okay, but
Vultures 2
Vultures
is good.
two,
I can tell you which songs I like because like let
tell
me
me
look.
please.
They're in my liked tracks. I like listen to them consistently. Um like look at this. Like I'm not kidding. They're all right there. Dead with Future, sick. Promotion with Future again, sick. Um River, uh Lifestyle, Lil Wayne, sick. Fried is really good. Yeah, I'm fried. Yeah, I'm
I'm
fried.
surprised there's no Future in your top 10
Yeah.
mentions.
So this is something I knew you'd comment on too because I consider Future one of my favorite artists, and he was my top
Yeah,
artist. Um, was it last year? Or was either last year or 2 years ago? He was my top artist for the year. I don't remember. Um, Future has made so many insane songs, like just incredible tracks. But when I look at his albums as a whole, there's usually a lot lacking in the actual like the entire album. Like when you actually
Sure.
look at it, you're like, oh, I can point out like five, six, it could even be like eight tracks on it that are really, really good. But then everything else is like completely forgettable. Even though I love him and I love what he's put out, he'd be in my top 10 artists. But I couldn't pick like these. Think about it, like Life of Pablo, no skips, Astroworld, no skips. Like, you can't put any future albums in comparison. You just can't. If you're going
No,
track
you
for
can't.
track, he's got tracks that like relationships, for example. Relationships
Mhm.
is an insane song, incredibly popular, shows how versatile he is as an artist too, because that's like a rap song, but also has like really good melody to it. I got a relationship,
Mhm.
you know. I'm trying to cut some of them off. I need help. It's a good song, a really good song. One of my favorite Future songs. It's so good for no reason, but
No, that's fair. I totally see what you mean. I mean, I'm never the biggest Future fan. There's individual songs that I love, yeah, but I could do an album. Like that's a great album. I couldn't.
and I looked at the what's it called the I was considering Metro Boomin, but he's just not a rapper.
Yeah, those albums are really good.
Those
Yeah,
albums are so good, but
they're
he's not a rapper,
amazing.
so I couldn't like in good conscience pick it.
Yeah, I really wanted to put a Denzel Curry album on here. Um,
I consider
couldn't
that
really do that. Um, I considered Sire by Jaden Smith, which is way too
that's
obsessed with, kind of
insanity.
like my obsession with Logic and Brockhampton, which I also considered. But yeah, that was definitely a time. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so
Other
we
than that, I think
we
these
made it.
lists, we did
Uh,
it.
we did do it, and so how much overlap do we have? Like two or three?
We had Kids See Ghost, we had Astroworld, we had Life of Pablo. If you're reading this, is too late. Four,
Yeah, I think so. I don't think
and
we
then
had any.
we both had a Playboy Cardi album, but different one.
Yeah, you
And
didn't have any
that's it.
Uzi, right? And not even in your honorable. Like he was left off.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Uzi should have been in there somewhere. Some one
Love
album.
Is Rage would be in my top 20, I guess. Um, but yeah,
And
not
also,
not
we
not
made
there.
perfect time somehow. I mean, actually, I think we're actually a little over an hour because we started before. Um, we started before eight. Well, we started before eight my time, so we're technically a little
Hmm.
bit over an hour. I don't know if it'll tell me the recording
Yeah,
time. It doesn't. That's fine. I don't care.
sure.
So let's start to wrap
Uh,
this up,
one more thing I'll say is none of us had
please.
a J Cole, which is really interesting. No J
Holy,
Cole
I just
this
realized that
list.
too. None of us said J. Cole.
Yeah,
We didn't even
yeah.
like
I
mention him
mean, I
at all. We mentioned
no,
Denzel Curry before J.
no,
Cole.
yeah, which is really crazy to think about.
That is because he's got some really good albums.
Yeah, yeah.
Forest Hills
I
Drive
love
is sick.
KOD. I love Forest Hills Drives. But yeah, I don't know, just not quite there.
Yeah, I guess he just. I mean, listen,
I guess
he's.
Playboy Cardi's better.
I mean, that technically that's what we're saying.
I
We're
mean,
saying
I
we
think that.
enjoyed Playboy Cardi's albums as a group more than any J. Cole project.
I do. Like
Yeah,
all
I mean,
respect to J Cole, all respect to those albums. I'd rather listen to Dial It. I'd rather listen to Self Titled. I'd
yeah,
rather listen to a Whole Lot of Red.
I think I probably would too at this point. So, that's just us. Um,
I can't say I'd listen to any Uzi album though. Over maybe Love Is Rage too.
is there any other like super notable artists that we just completely skipped over? No Yachty,
Um, yes,
no 21.
21. That's interesting. I really like his album from 2018. I don't
Uh,
remember what it's called,
I Am Greater
but the one
Sign I
with a lot.
Was.
That's a great album. Um,
No
yeah,
Gunna,
I feel
no
like
Lil
other than that, we
Baby.
kind of covered. Yeah,
I mean, I guess there's gonna be really good artists, but they're just not top 10.
ASAP Rocky.
The big three I expected to be talked about were Kanye, Travis, and Drake, in my mind.
Yes,
I'm not saying that they're the big
I
three
thought you would have
artists.
multiple Drake albums. Yeah,
I knew you'd think that,
I
but
thought you would have. Yeah,
I did not.
it makes me really happy.
But I'm not saying they're the big three artists, but I knew big three albums wise, Kanye, Travis, Drake would be named. Guaranteed in my mind. Kendrick, I figured you would name. Obviously, I didn't, but Pretty Hype we
Yeah.
both named, though, in some regard. That's it. Puts him in the
Which one?
same league as Kanye West, played by Cardi.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's truly an art, not just BSing.
Yeah.
Lil
So
Skies. Lil Skies' album would probably be my top 10 at the time.
I looked
Anyway,
at that.
that's the
I
last
looked
thing.
at Lil Skies' album, but I was like, lettuce
Dude, I
sandwich.
listened to it. I listened to it like a few months ago. It's so bad. It's like I don't know why I was so upset. We were so obsessed with that album. It does not age well. It does not hold up. Um,
Yeah, it's
anyway,
Lil Skies has fallen off a lot, and it's too bad because I think he had a lot of potential. He just didn't capitalize the right way. It
for sure.
happens. Did the same thing. Logic was like on top of the world for a while, and then just straight down.
Yeah,
So
it
Drake's
was
still up
like
there.
all leading up to 800, and then fall. Drake is still up there, of course.
Yeah, Drake and Kendrick are the two biggest rappers in the world right now.
Big as the Super Bowl instead.
That's insane. I can't believe he's like. I was thinking of it, like Kendrick is gonna call Drake a pedophile in front of the entire planet.
So Drake is gonna have $1 million in the Super Bowl. His team's gonna be losing by 14 at halftime, and then he's gonna go into the halftime show, and then all of a sudden, everyone and their mother on the couch, everyone in the stadium is going to be saying A minor, and then he's going to proceed to watch the rest of the game where he loses.
I feel bad. Like I feel bad.
He asked for it. Like I don't understand why Drake initiated a beef with Kendrick. Like you should realize and understand what type of artist you are.
Well, actually, technically he
If he
didn't.
just
Technically he didn't initiate. Unless correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought like that Kendrick's feature is what really initiated it because he said, you know, because Drake
oh
said
yeah,
Kendrick was in the big three.
first person
Drake said Kendrick's
first
in the
person
big three.
shooter is technically the start of that. What made Kendrick respond? I kind of meant more like responding to Kendrick. I don't know why he continued the beef.
Oh, because everybody on the internet, the amount of pressure. Like I remember when like that dropped, and everyone was like, "What's Drake gonna do? Is he a pussy? Like, is he gonna say anything?" Like, I think he kind of had no choice because so many people were saying like Drake
Yeah,
is scared. He won't say shit. He's gonna let Kendrick get away with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
But he egged him
Push-Ups
on.
was a
He was
good
like, I like push-ups. I like
Push-Ups
Family
was a good
Matters.
clapback.
Part six is one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
Terrible. Hard Bar
Um,
Six is. I couldn't name a
yeah.
single. I don't even think I can name a word included in that track.
Oh, I can name some words. He says that he's way too famous to be a pedophile, which is just not true.
That's a
Um,
crazy
anyway,
sentence.
it is a crazy sentence. Anyway, I think what makes me mad is that he like, and I don't understand. He egged Kendrick on. Like once he dropped push-ups, he was like, "Kendrick, when are you gonna drop? When are you gonna drop, bro?" And then Kendrick dropped like three things
Yeah.
in a row. And then on Hard Part Six, he's like, "Oh, bro, like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the point?" It's like, bro, you told him to drop. He dropped. Anyway, that's a
Yeah.
whole other podcast. Be
Yeah.
fun, but
Seriously. Let me start to wrap this up. So yeah, that's the first episode. The hope is to be putting these out once a week. I'd like to do that. I'm thinking I'm gonna keep this same format because it's easier to like record it, even though everybody else is close enough to do it in person. Until I actually man up and buy some equipment, which I don't own any. Um, this is the easiest way to record and have it be like some sort of decent quality. Otherwise, it's going to be just a camera of me and somebody sitting in a chair. And unless I had an actual studio, that's probably not a good idea. So I'll probably stick to this. I'm going to try and figure out how to get some video or images up the right way. But I think this was a good first podcast episode. And I hope that everybody that watched or listened enjoyed it. Me and Jake shooting the shit for an
gotta
hour.
start somewhere. You
Yeah, you
gotta
gotta
start
start some.
somewhere. So
So this
good
is
start.
episode one. I don't even know what episodes two is going to be, and I got a week to figure it out. So, you know, I'm going
Good
to
luck.
try and get these
I
out
hope I'll be back at
consistent.
some point though.
So just remember the internet safe space. I haven't even created social media handles for this yet, so I can't do any social media promo. Whatever social media you're watching this on, subscribe to it, I guess. I don't know what it's going to be though, because I haven't made anything. I'm going to make a YouTube channel and put it on there, so I guess subscribe to the YouTube channel. But I'm also probably going to make a website or an Instagram. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. I'm trying my best. Anyways, Jake, you can say your last things and then I'm going to call it.
Thank you for having me. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, whether that's just FaceTime or on this. I love podcasting in general, and especially with you. I hope I'll be invited back at some point because talking to you about any subject, not just music, is interesting and fun.
It
And we
is.
always have some different opinions, but when we overlap, it's really fun. So yeah, it was a pleasure.
Oh, this was awesome. This went way better than I expected, actually. I feel like you and I like it worked out. Like we've known each other so long, like the banter and just the talking in general works. So I'm hoping it's
Yeah,
entertaining. It's hard to know since we're part of it, but hopefully we put together something that people actually are interested in watching.
for sure.
But yeah,
All
so
the
I
best.
don't have any kind of like outro quip yet. People usually say something like "see you next time" and then like something like that. I don't know. This is the internet safe space where you can have a differing opinion from me, and I'm still gonna give you shit for it, but it's like safe to do it. Nah, bro, it's chill.
All you can say is like, "Nah, it's the safe thing."
Yeah, nah,
Like you
nah,
gotta
it's
let
fine.
me have
Yeah, it's valid.
it.
Nah,
You can
bro.
say the craziest thing in the world, but then you just be like, "Bro."
Nah, it's chill. Anyways,
Good to
so
know.
Jake, thanks for taking the time. I know it's early for you. And yeah,
Get my
this is
Spanish
it. You'll
condition.
be back. He'll be back, guys. Um,
Yes.
peace.